Hey guys, hi, 624 Dudley, g'day. Happy solstice, blessed be. Different solstice down here, it's the coldest and shortest days. Paul, g'day. Tea and biscuits, hello. We seem to have a bit of a situation here, that's where we're at. I've misplaced my 8-inch tablet, like my Samsung Galaxy. I've got no idea where it is. And it's what I usually live stream on. So I've reduced to my telephone, which is a bit muddy and a little bit ordinary. But we'll get by with it, and I'll have a bit more of a concerted look, and hopefully it turns up before next week. It's a bit different. No idea where it is. It's one of life's mysteries. It's either in this room or the other room. I haven't taken it anywhere else. I haven't been anywhere else, really. I'm pretty sure it didn't go in the van anyway. I'm pretty sure that it's not in this room, so it must be in the other room, and I've had to turn that place upside down, literally, basically. So I've slotted it in on a shelf somewhere. I've got no idea where. So sorry, guys, to put up with this. Evening, Mark. Stephen Lang, good morning. Summer's coming. David Bellani, good morning. Jim Stein, hi in Thailand. So anyway, that's why this is a bit crap, and we're dealing with this. It's on the telephone. It works just the same. It's just everything's a bit smaller for me, and some point I'm going to have to find that tablet. I've got no idea where it is. Journeyman Randy, good day. So what have I done this weekend? Not a lot, really. I did some housework on Sunday. I went to work on Monday. I had Tuesday off, and I probably should have been more proactive than I was. But I made a reamer which may or may not work. And I've started messing around with these. I've got 3 of them very, very close here. These new spigots are very good in these. This one's about perfect. That's how it wants to be. This one can still go a fraction deeper and it'd be good. And this one could go a fraction deeper and be good as well. So you can see the difference there if you really look, that there's only about 9/64 or something space there, if we're going to go there. 3.5 mil. Oh, they'll leak for sure. This one's got about 4 mil, this one's got about 5 mil, so they need to be a bit deeper. I don't think they'll leak. If they do, it's going to be fairly minute. These 3. So these 3 are well underway. I've made this, which is 01. It sort of works. There's a limit to the amount of sorters in it. There's no real clearance or anything on it. I guess you would call it a D bit, but it's not even because there's no clearance, no nothing on it. And I hoped it would scrape everything a little bit bigger diameter, and it probably will, but it needs some work yet. So it's just got a hexagon on that side for a socket, and it's hardened and it's tempered back to about 60 RC, something like that. So pretty happy with that. Now, while Stephen Lang's here, Stephen, the new software for the oven, I don't know if you've run across that at all. If you have, might need to touch base with you, because I couldn't make it work on my controller for my oven. So there's a new software package and it doesn't seem to be as good. I've had a new computer since I've used it last, and I've had to, the old config is no longer available, and there's a new one. Struggling with that anyway. That's beside the point. I'll get it going at some point. I run out of time to mess with it, and I just did these manually. Anyway, these three I'm pretty happy with, and they should be good. These three, I think they're going to be fine. This one is right down. See, there's only about 332 or something there, and it's still a bit loose in the back here, as such. So there's a lot more sticking out here. Now, I don't know whether I fix it properly or whether I just leave it and hope it don't leak, or whether I just put it back together like that and pretend no one's ever going to notice. Tea and Biscuit says fix it properly. That makes sense. Now, what do we do? There's several things we could do, I guess. We could find the right plunger and set the lathe up again and make a new one, which probably isn't the end of the world, and make it fit this, right? So it fits out, sticks out the right amount and everything else, and number it so that if it ever comes apart, no one ever has to take them apart. No one ever has to put them back together in the wrong order. I could make them all the same, and I could bore that out and put a sleeve in it with the right taper in it. It's good to see you back, Stephen. Good to see you, Steve. That's another thing, is you can set it up and bore it. Right? A bit of a cow, to be honest. It's not one of the world's most fun jobs to set that up and bore it out, whichever way you do it. Sort of about that angle there, something like that. So probably you could just grip it here in the vise and set it up and run a boring bar through it and put a sleeve in there. You can make a new one of these the same as those. That's way too much trouble. Summer's coming. I guess if I fix it properly, I make another one of these that's completely separate. And make them all individual, which is probably how they were originally, or it probably isn't. And if I could get that done, then we've got these sorted. I can't really be bothered making another one of these. And the other thing is that I'm not as convinced as I could be that that's not a bad fit, that one. Maybe I've just guessed that. It looks to be the biggest one. I'm not sure how good a fit this actually is. Probably it's all right. And I could just set this up and make another one of these on this taper, and it would fit there, and just make it so that it fits the body. Done with. Can't lap this one any further is the problem, because it's right down, almost on the seat, and it's sticking out too far here anyway. So I think I'm just going to make another one. I think you've talked me into that. That's a job for some point. If I've still got a bit of inch brass that's long enough. So there we go. Apart from that, we've got three of them that I'm pretty happy with. And one of them not so much. So we should be able to get these cleaned up and polished up and looking half reasonable. They're starting to get there. They went in ultrasonic, but they're still pretty dirty. I'll get into them with a Scotch-Brite wheel and polish them, and then make another one. Then I've got to get the levers done. I've got to... What else is happening? I've got to make levers for these. I've got a pattern made. I've just found a box of dowel pins to attach the patterns together. So that's excellent. I've got a pattern to make a 710 lid for the sawmill outer bearing. It's got to be done too in brass, so that's another job. And there's a plate for a Roby engine that belongs to a friend we borrowed, so that we can duplicate it on another Roby engine that a friend's got. So there's some castings that need to be done. They need to be done pretty quick, because on the 7th, I've got a weekend away, the 7th and the 8th. I've got Friday and Saturday and Sunday off, which is kind of amazing. And the job will be to pack up Dan's new Roby stationary engine. He's got basically a stationary combined stationary engine that he's bought. Is a fairly big thing. It's about 4 horsepower, 3 or 4 horsepower, with a vertical boiler and a nice big cast iron base with a water tank in it, and a very pretty single cylinder stationary engine on it. Got to pack that up and get that down there. Why are the inserts at an angle? Because they go on the cylinder on that angle there, so that the inserts are vertical. So that's where they bolt on the sides of the cylinder. That's how they are. That's the only reason for that. Functionality is so that when the nuts fall off the bottom, they don't bounce out. That's a kind of about where it's at, Ben Fowler. Not that I'm disparaging Fowler and their creative engineering, but the reality is that if they weren't vertical, they'd probably bounce out. So that's why that is. And all the levers work in a flat plane orientation too, so I guess the reason for that is so that they actually stay where they're put, rather than stay shut or stay open, or drift open or shut on the bumps. They actually stay where they're put if all the levers are horizontal. So that's the reasoning behind that. The other thing that needs to be done on that weekend, when we unloaded that engine off the truck and done a few other jobs and run around and all the things that the fridge thinks that we're going to be doing, but we won't probably have time to do, is to degrease the roller. So probably going to light a fire in it and get it a bit warmer. We've got a couple of little jobs to fix first, so we'll see how we go with that. If we could fix them on Friday. There's broken nut on an injector pipe, and there's some packing land on the snifting valve that needs fixing. Just a couple of little jobs like that. A few hours should fix that. I'd like to heat it up and give it a good spray down with diesel and a good mop up with some rags, and maybe, just maybe, get it a little bit cleaner. But anyway, that's thoughts. So that's where we're at. No idea where the tablet is, and I was going to give you all a grand tour of the outside workshop, but it's too cold out there tonight. It's not going to happen. It's pretty freezing here. So that's that. Was going to finish that sign this week. Didn't happen. So I'll have to wait for that, but that's got to be done by the 7th as well. So it's all sort of related. Today's the 21st, and at some point I'm going to try and get a tax refund before then as well. We'll see how we go. So there we go. Still a bit confused about where my tablet went or why it's not here, which box it's in or where it's been put. It's got to be in another room, but I've slid it in a bookcase somewhere and I just can't see it. Normal distance is technically industrial degrees. This steam oil is pretty rotten stuff, to be honest. If you look, these parts are all covered in it. This is black. And it sort of wipes off. Like if you rub it, you'll end up black. But it's tallow based, or it's cut with tallow. It's oil cut with tallow, and it's pretty thick, awful gunky stuff. And it's designed to get a bit more fluid when it gets hot. But when it's cold, it's like tar, really. So that's the best thing, I would say. Just give it a good spray off with diesel and a wipe with a rag when it's hot, and most of it will come off. But it's not the world's funnest job, but it's got to be done at some point. So that's where we're at. That's about all that's been happening is this particular job, and I really need to get this finished, so we're working hard on these at the moment. If I could have it all done by the 7th, then we could probably get this going. In other news, cut the web out for the crank to turn it between centres for the little Paul Breach little brother engine. That was, have a look here, probably have a look at the drawing here. I don't know if you can even see that, to be honest. Probably can't. That's very terrible. Let's come over here, put this on the lathe, because we have got a light. Whoa, that's bright. Whoa. It's not the answer. But there's the drawing for the crank. Hey Dan, been talking about you. So basically it's a matter of machining this on these two centres that I've got marked in the end. Pretty much. So there's another moderator handled that. So anyway, Dan says all the bad shit. Exactly. What are the plans for? It's Paul Breach's little brother engine. It's sort of one of those jobs that this place is a chaos because I was in here until late last night. So basically we've got the crank. It's got a cutout in it. We'll put it that way up, I guess, or whatever. That's the right way up for it. And it's got two sets of centre holes on each end. So basically the way we make it is we set it up on these centres here, on that end, and machine this crank. and then cut the rest of it out and put a soft solder piece of stop in there to stop it bowing when you put the centres in, and machine the other pieces in free end on between centres. So that way you get a crank with both these that are actually running parallel. So that's a job. This is something that is very, very slowly been sort of happening in my downtime. I don't have a lot of downtime, so I'm sort of trying to spend a couple of hours on it a weekend. But these are the drawings. There's a couple of sheets of fairly comprehensive drawings and a lot of little detail bits. We'll have a look at it. It's a little hit and miss stationary engine. Air cooled. With, I guess, a couple of flywheels on it. We'll put these somewhere so that it looks like it's meant to be. That gives you some sort of an idea of the size and what it looks like. Picked these up years ago, well, quite a few years ago, this set of castings, and they were sort of half done. None of the work on them is of a particularly high standard, unfortunately. And it's a matter of remaking all the bits as you go, and I'm not filming it or anything. But got oil cap on the end there with a pulley there for the air-cooled fan. I've got a box of bits, none of which are very much good, to be honest. A little box of parts. I've got 2 flywheels, a cylinder, and the cylinder head, and the base. I had a crank that is of no use to anything that's been fabricated up. It's really not the answer. Don't think that'll work, so we're going to keep that for something else or toss it. I've got some bits, so some piston rings that are probably rusty, some springs and some timing gears. Piece of stuff that says cam. Some copper washers. I've got bearings that have been made. I've got some valves that are pretty awful, really. They're no good for it, not for fit for purpose, really. And I've got a glow plug that won't work, and some springs and a piston casting, and some main bearing caps. So that's where we're at. And in the downtime, I'm just spending probably an hour a week, if that, to get this running. And hopefully that changes at some point in the future. But this was already bored, and none of the other features were machined, which is a bit of a pain because you've got to set everything up in relation to the bore. So I had to make a mandrel to put that on, get it running nice and true, and then we face this end and face this end, and face this here and this here, and this boss here, and threaded it. Then we made that bolt with the oil hole and the fan. But this, unfortunately, for some reason, is 6 thou under, which is a pain, because it means I've got to set this up and machine that again to fit, because I'm not going to be able to lap out 6 thou. That's just not going to happen. And it's not a bad bore, it's probably half a thou bell on each end. So it will clean up nice, but I'm going to have to set this up again and remachine it, which I really wasn't thinking was going to be a very fun job. Hopefully these flywheels aren't too much oversized. I'm going to machine the crank to fit these, and then if we've got to make a new main bearing to go in the caps, we will, and it might work. So that's where we're at. It's not very big. It's 3/4 bore, something like that. It's going to be a fun little engine, but I'm only doing, seriously, this is the first weekend for weeks that I've done much to it. for a couple of weeks anyway, and all I did was start that crankshaft, which took me probably an hour and a half so far into it. Got the lathe back round straight, but not for long obviously if we're going to fix one of these again. And then after that I'll get in and finish the crankshaft and make it fit the flywheels nicely. Broach a keyway in them and put keys in them and make them fit the gears and everything else. I'll bore the gears and the mains to fit the crank so it's all good. And hopefully we should have an engine that works one day, maybe. I've not got a good track record with that, but we'll see how we go. So that's another job that we've been messing around with slowly. It's the downtime project, and there's not very much of it happening. Probably I don't need downtime projects because there's no downtime, but anyway, it'd be nice to get something made. Spider Bite's good. I've still got a couple of scars, but nothing serious. It looks good actually. I'm pretty happy with that. I think it's nearly back to normal. Apart from that, that's what's been happening. No idea where my tablet is. I actually put all my welding consumables away down there behind this bench, so I can stock up my materials drawer again. A lot of this stuff probably needs tossing or going out or whatever, but we'll get this stocked up. We haven't got all that welding consumable leaning up against the wall there now, so pretty happy with that. There's a bit of 1.5" brass there, but I don't really want to use that for the piece. I'm hoping that here somewhere in there there's a piece of 1" brass that's long enough. I think that could be it. There we go, got the fit. So there's plenty there. The lathe's a bit of a hot mess at the moment, needs a clean. It's been cut in 01 all weekend to make that reamer, which was probably a bit of a fruitless exercise, but anyway. So that's what's happening. I really want to do a bit to this lathe too. There's so many things that I want to make for this, but at this point I haven't got any downtime at all. Like very, very little. So there's no projects going to be started until we've got at least these finished and some done on this and some other jobs done, like the rest of those signs and yeah, probably I'll get another project out and commence that as well. Oh, well, not commence it, no, but it sounds a bit weird. But probably make some progress on something else as well after Glenray Timberfest, which is the last week in July, which I have off. So I've got a week's holiday last week in July, which is well overdue. Got a fair bit owing to me, but I'm going to take that week and we can get this stupid roller presentable for going on show. So that's the plan. That's where we're at. No idea where my tablet is. It's a bit of a mystery. I better find it by next week. I sort of was getting on a bit untidy. I did mess around with the DRO. Right? That's the last place I had it. I think I was messing with the I think over the weekend, did I? I don't know if it was this weekend or the weekend before. I messed with the Touch DRO app and put it on the tablet. So that would have been the last time I used it. That would have been in my bedroom. So I haven't really seen it since. No idea. I've got a Touch DRO module, but it's the one with that takes the USB connected scales, and they're a bit difficult to get here in Australia. I'm really a bit ashamed to show you this lathe because it's kind of covered in dirt. There's a borite stone that needs a trip in the ultrasonic. Don't know if you've seen these. I guess everyone's seen these. They're fairly expensive, but if you can find them in sales, these are better. I feel that they're better than needle files for a lot of jobs. There's a box of 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch by 600 boride. There's a very dirty one that needs to go in the, probably needs to go in the ultrasonic. But mould and dye finishing stones. They're not all that fine. Some of them are quite coarse, but pretty good little. I've got a box full of them. Pretty good thing if you're finishing off hard materials or doing fine polishing work on metal. There's a website, but don't go and buy them. Just keep an eye out. If they come up, you know what they are and you know to get them because they're pretty useful. Now, I've been thinking that this could do with a DRO on it. Poor thing's looking a bit lived in, to be honest. Needs a clean. Ultrasonic cleaner is absolutely worth getting. If you're going to run anything in it that's going to do any work, though, you really need it outside. Mine's set up. I think it's got Joe's precision ground flatstones in it at the moment. I think they've been finished. I don't think he's removed them, so they'll be pretty well waterlogged. I've given mine a clean the other day as well, so we were set up to do that. It's a pretty useful thing if you've got one big enough to do your jobs, and gets everything nice and clean. Minimum effort. I was thinking I was going to put a DRO on this, right? It's a bit difficult compared to many layers because we've got this slide here, right? And we've got this slide here. If we could get some little magnetic scales of a miniature variety, and I don't know if you can, but if anyone's ever seen them, I'd put one along here nicely, probably on this side, don't know, probably under here somewhere so that this moved in and out of it. And if there was something nice and neat, I'd put it on the front here. But bear in mind that there's got to be a stop on here, and I think I've nearly worked out the stop for this. One of life's sweet mysteries that I can actually find this and put it on the machine. So this drive here, we're still working on the drive here. I think I've got it pretty well sorted actually. It's just a matter of making the bits. I know what I'm going to do. And this one here, which locks in on a dog clutch here, which gives us drive through from the gearbox, you see. That's the theory. But I'm going to cut a groove in the top here, I think, in the back, and put a slidey piece on here with a stop on it, in under here, pretty close, I think, to this, because this plate here is new. It's just a shallow groove. Set this up on the mill and put a shallow groove all the way through, and then I'm going to put a piece through here with a locking tab on it to hold it in place, something like that. And then I can set this up so that when it gets to the end of its cut, this pushes this out of the dog clutch into the second position there on the ball detent. It's working on the shaft there, and keeps spinning, but stops this. So that's something else that's got to go on here. I don't know how we switch to the lathe, but there we go. This is one of the things I've been thinking of, because I've been working on the lathe. So it's a matter of just making a recess in this, I think, probably like seriously 3mm deep, and then probably 6mm wide, and get a piece of 3 by 4 by 6 or something to come out here with a bend in it. And then probably some sort of a little cover on here with a screw to hold it in place, lock it down. I don't know. I can't see ever having to use this side of the Multifix toolbox tool post. I've never ever had to do that. Usually it's this side or this side. So it needs to really, I guess it needs to clear this. But that's probably not a difficult thing either, if it only sticks up 1mm or something. So that's in the running, and then a DRO in some sort. If I could get something that only had a bit of 6mm scale on it that I could fit on here, then it'd be very, very nice. I guess a more worthy sort of a person would run it through the middle here next to the screw and out of sight on both threads, both slides. But I've never really worked out a way to do that so that it was any good. See this cover here, that goes through the middle through a, see that? It's magic. That covers a dust cover that covers the, as it goes through, it covers the nut on here on the thread. So probably you could put it through here on the side somewhere, but it'd have to be pretty tiny. And I'm not sure how you do that. So that's why that's never happened. But the touch DRO system looks pretty good, and I wouldn't mind putting that on here. Don't know. But first real job on this lathe, now that it's set up again, things I need to do, but one of them is to get all this up and running. Going to sort this out with a spring detent, the same as this, just a screw-in one in this piece here. There's a grip collar, I guess. Actually, lost a circlip off there. That's a bit of a problem. I reckon I've got one, but I have to put one in. These have still got C-clips on. I don't know where that one's gone. Interesting. Anyway. So I'm going to put a detent collar on there, and then I'm going to cut a notch in this side here. And we'll put a little roll pin or a dowel pin or something in the shaft, so that actually locates on it without too much backlash and clicks into the detent, so I can take this off when I need to. Another job that needs to be done on this is it needs a screw in this inside here, inside this bush, so that when you take this apart, it doesn't come apart. because that's kind of one of those things that it's doing at the moment. So, hey Matt. So that's something that needs to be done, and then it needs a cover on it, and it needs finishing off basically, and it needs a box to put all these bits in when it comes off the lathe, which may or may not ever happen, but it'd be very nice to have it, and it would have been very nice to have it this last weekend, but anyway. Thanks, Peter. So, if someone's new here and hasn't seen this, this is the thread cutting attachment for the launch lathe. So far it's all handmade. I've made all this. It's got tumblers here for forward and backwards. And it's got a quadrant here for change wheels. All this is sort of worked out so it's one hand operation. This just tightens up on here like so with the spanner. It just fits the standard launch spanner, and there's room here and spaces for another set of gears if we need to put compound gears on it. I think there's a spacer missing off this one here, maybe. Don't know where that went. So this is all something that needs work, and I'm going to just make I think I'm just going to make a cover that goes on with a pin and some sort of a lock clip, so that I can, or even a threaded bolt, so that I can just sit it on and thread it up. Not sure. Rather than have it hinged, which seems a little bit too complicated. The problem with a cover that just comes off tends to be that you put it upside down somewhere and put bits in it, and then it doesn't go back on. So I'm not sure about that. So next job on this is to get this back together and fitting nicely so that we've got quick release on this end, it just unclips, and quick release on this end. So this one's got 2 grooves in here. I think you can see that. And this ball detent here, it clicks in that one there, right? It just spins without coming off, and it clicks in that one there. I think this is probably a bit dirty in there in places, but it also clicks in that one so it doesn't come off there. And I'm going to do the same on this one, so it just clicks in one spot, and then hopefully we've got power feed and thread cutting. I know it works because I had this fastened directly on here, and I've done quite a bit of thread cutting with it, but it needs some actual refinements and so forth. And this poor thing needs a clean, and probably a coat of paint wouldn't hurt it at some point, but it's not going to happen either just yet. Anyway, I bored you all to death with my lathe. No ideas about the DRO on it, and probably it hardly needs it because all these are accurate and they're all pretty easily worked out, so probably you don't need it. It'd be very handy for mapping profiles and things like that, maybe with a DRO on it. I don't know. Anyway, what's everyone else up to? What other exciting things are happening? Everyone's gone quiet. I've moved over to the lathe and started talking about it, so everyone sort of thought, well, that's the end of that for tonight. No more fun happening there. Team Biscuit's still working on a little stationary engine. Can't wait to see that running. Must be getting a little bit closer now. I saw you finish the burner. these. Just put the countersink away in the set. What's everyone else up to? Anyway, this is a work in progress and it needs a good clean at the moment because, yeah, it's done some actual hard work in the last little while. That place needs a vacuum and a clean up. And everyone else is either not busy or asleep. That's a pretty good way to be honest. I'm taking an hour out to have a talk because it's about the only social hour I get during the week. I've had a talk to Dan this week. I think I had a walk talk to him. But things are happening. We're probably going to. I'll try and get some footage of stuff that we've been doing. Oh, nice. We'll go and check that out. Thanks for that. Winky's pretty watchable. Need to work higher rather than lower is my thoughts. But anyway, these are 900, which is standard workshop bench length height, I think. Oh, that's exciting, Stephen Lang. That's exciting. We had to talk about that last week. Kenneth Wills. I very much looking at it the other night and thinking, gosh, I'd really like to make a roller with that. But I can't think of a way to do that. So probably at this point it's not going to happen. Mostly because I've never ever come up with a nice serviceable design, and secondly because I haven't got time. Summer bash is probably slow on the video output from the USA, maybe. I didn't get there this year. I honestly haven't spent a lot of time looking at feed or anything, and I really probably should have. But I just don't have time. It's terrible. It's a bit self-centered, and it's not a very. It's just at this point, I seem to have too much to do. The traction engine's a pretty nice build actually, and it comes out remarkably professional for a home built traction engine. That's what every time I look at it, it impresses me that it does come out remarkably professionally finished. It's an interesting little build. Button die come. That's the other thing that happened this week. Upside down in there. 3/8 Whitworth button die. I bought one of those, which is a new tool. Mostly to finish these threads on here. So didn't find a 2-inch one. Apparently with most brands now the 1/2 inch is the smallest 2-inch die, which is a bit of a pain because I've got this nice set here. which hasn't actually been put away. I have a feeling that if I keep looking in here somewhere, I'll probably find that tablet. Hasn't turned up yet. No. I've got this set, which is a P&N, which was Dad's. Right, it could do with a clean, actually. I'd like to get it all back together nicely so that if I've got to do a job away on the roller or something, I can just put it in the car and take it. Don't have to worry too much about anything else, because everything for the roller's in here, basically. But these are 2-inch, and that one doesn't cut at all now. Basically, it's worn out. And I haven't tried any of the others, but I'd really like to get some upgrades on these, so if I find them, I probably still will. But tablet's not in that cupboard. It's excellent. It's also not in that one. It's a wire brush, brass wire, a steel wire brush. I might leave that out and use that at some point. It's in the black Vipon sign enamel. So it's not there, so I don't know where it is. My 2-inch P&N dies go down to at least quarter. Let's have a look. What's that one there? Quarter 20. That one's 5/16. Yeah, well, quarter 5/16, 3/8, ½ inch, 5/8 and 3/4. I think in that set. No die, no taps in here at this point. I'd like to get that all finished up and back together nicely. That set. I'm glad you're on the mend, Steve. Hi, Anne. It's a big set. It's a good set, actually. That's the sort of the size you want. If you're going to be putting 3/8 and ½ inch threads on things, you really need a die stock that big. This one's hardly big enough, and the sizes I could get in 3/8 were this one, which is 1.5 inch, and inch, which is smaller again. And trying to cut a 5/8 thread, even in brass, with an inch die, is asking for broken die, to be honest. I don't know whether people just don't do things like that now, or what the story is. Anyway, this could nearly be emptied, this drawer, and we could have a bit of a, I don't know, we need to have a bit of a shuffle about in there. Thanks, Darren. I might take you up on that. Postage is getting a bit expensive though. Bit of an issue. I've got 1-inch broken dies. They're 1-inch. If you're trying to, I actually bought this one because I broke the. This is a 10mm one. I bought this because I broke the inch one. I snapped it in half, trying to cut steel with it. So, not really the answer. Anyway, I seem to have, mostly all I've done this night tonight is pull stuff out and put it on the bench. I don't know if that's practical or useful or anything, but there you go. Other than that, yeah. Basically, just keeping my head above water. Work again tomorrow. Work the next day. Work the day after. And then I've got Sunday off and I've got Tuesday off. One of those days, I think, probably the Tuesday is going to be Foundry Day. We'll see how we go. I think it's the last one we've got. Before the 7th. So, if all goes to plan, that's what's going to happen. Anyway, don't know if there's much more to add. This place looks an absolute pigsty, and it is, and I apologise for that. The lathe's all been used, and this is sort of in the process of being packed away, and this bench looks like it's very lived in. That bench isn't any better. There's boxes and junk on the floor here everywhere, but I think we're a little bit more organised than we were last time. If we're going to go there, we've packed a fair bit of stuff away, and probably I've opened more boxes. The shed shop, I'd like to see that happen. Anyway, that's what's happening. So with no further ado, I'm probably nearly going to call it, because I think I'm caught up on all the gossip and everything that's happening. I'm not going to give up on that tablet, which must be here somewhere. I've got no idea. Don't really want to spring for another one this week, but it must be here somewhere. And going to say thanks for tuning in, and really appreciate that everyone does. Sorry we're so unorganised and we're handy-old and we're on mobile phone this week. It's not even a good mobile phone, it's a cheapie. And appreciate your patience with me. But I think I'm going to go to bed, because it's been a crazy sort of a day, and it's been only a fairly early start in the week, really. And we'll worry about the tablet later. Shout out to all these people that are on this board. I've got to get them up at some point. And it will happen, but I don't know when. Tried to find my device, but the device is actually got a flat battery. So that's not particularly useful at all. Just so you know, it's not even a little bit useful. That's the way things happen. Anyway, I'm out. Be kind to each other, and more soon. And hopefully I'll make some real content at some point. But thanks for tuning in and being patient with me. And we'll see you soon.